a very good day wherever you are watching this live on Sky Sports Boxing YouTube channel and social media. We are live on the ground in Jeddah. It is the first major event of Fight Week. It is the mammoth rematch between Oleksandr Usyk and Anthony Joshua, and these are the big fight arrivals. Anthony Joshua is already in the building. Oleksandr Usyk is just down a couple of floors and will be up shortly. Former cruiserweight champion of the world, Johnny Nelson, is with me. Johnny, first off, we should just say it is loud in here. There's going to be fighters coming through. There's the world's media, so forgive us. It's rough and ready, but we're going to do our best here. You've met both fighters. We're hopefully going to get both fighters later, but it's an intriguing and interesting start to the week from what we've seen. Your reaction now you've seen both guys in the flesh?
First of all, what a task to take on Fight Week. I remember as a fighter, I hate this stuff. I just want to concentrate on the fight itself. But both fighters have committed themselves to doing this. So let the fans see, look, we're here for business. Let the people here in Saudi see they're here for business. Now you look at Usyk, who's very relaxed, very jovial. He's very, he looks solid. He looks bigger, without a doubt. And then you look at AJ. AJ's slim, actually slimmer than when he boxed Ruiz the second fight, I think. And so he explains the difference between, it doesn't matter how heavy he was, I was heavier than him last time and he beat me. So it's about mindset. He said he's been working for 10 months since the last fight for this, because it means so much to him. Usyk has as well. So Usyk's thinking, well, what have I got to change? All I've got to change is to try and step up the pace, and I put size. I want to be able to stand there, hold him and wrestle him and match his natural heavyweight strength. For AJ, what is he going to do? He's going to change his tactics, which he knows. He said, I chose the wrong tactics last time. I know what I've got to do, what I should be doing, how I should do it. Him talking like that means he admits his faults. He's looked at the fight. He's seen how easy he got hit. He's seen how his footwork was wrong, which he mentioned it to us earlier as well. He's seen the mistakes he did. He tried to outbox the boxer. Now he knows he's got a team around him. He's got Sia and Angel Fernandez to rough him up, to make him think, right, I've got to go back to basics. Basic mentality in regards to, I've got to rough it up with you. I'm not your friend. I've got to get in there, get in the trenches, and he understands that. Usyk's cool, and maybe it's lost in translation.
He is really cool, isn't he?
Maybe it's lost in translation, but he doesn't give much away. Don't be fooled by that little wry smile. He's a very serious guy, and they understand the stakes are high. All he has to do is up the pace. For AJ, he has to change the whole amount of tactics he chose for this fight.
So I'll let you in on a little secret. I did the interview with Oleksandr Usyk, and like Johnny said, obviously it goes through a translator. He says his answer, it comes back through a translator. I asked him, will you be heavier on Friday? You were 100 kilos in that first fight, which was like 15 stone 11. And he said, yes, I will be heavier. I then asked him, is that a deliberate thing? And he didn't really say yes, and he didn't really say no. He just sort of implied, look, I've trained and that's what I'm going to be. I don't believe him. I think he has trained to be heavier. What do you think?
I do too. Now, the downside of that is this. We've seen him being an outstanding cruiserweight. He had his movement, he had his agility, he had the speed and that mobility on his opponent. We saw him step up to heavyweight, and now he's trying to get comfortable in that division. Remember, Anthony Joshua is naturally heavier than him. He's naturally had that weight, carried that weight most of his professional life. So now Usyk is thinking to himself, I've got to be able to hold my own. I've got to be able to wrestle this guy, push him back, put him under pressure. That tells me Usyk's coming for the knockout. He's coming to try and put him down, because if he's coming to outbox him, he'd do what AJ did. Come in
lighter.
Come in lighter to outbox him and move around. Now he believes he has the ability to knock out AJ, which is why he's coming in a completely different shape. But will that affect his style of fight? I believe it will, because you can't box away what he did or does and keep that carrying that kind of weight for 12 rounds. You can't do that. So I think that's his intention.
Are they second guessing at all? Is it a factor, or am I just making a narrative that simply doesn't exist? Are they thinking, well, AJ is going to bring a more aggressive game plan, we might have to withstand a little bit more pressure, well, let's make ourselves bigger if he's going to bring the power? But I suppose that goes against what you're saying, that AJ looks very slender.
Maybe Usyk's team got it wrong. Usyk's team will be thinking, this guy's going to come at you this time because he knows what happened last time. That's why Usyk's put the weight on, but AJ's not. Yeah. AJ's thinking...
No, I don't think that what... I'm trying to guess that something that doesn't exist there. I think it's just interesting why would they do it?
Yeah. And so for Usyk, I know I think that's deliberate. For AJ, I think that's deliberate. We've seen when he gets later on in the rounds, he seems to struggle more fatigue-wise. He can't afford to be that fighter with Usyk in this fight here. He's going to make sure he plays it right. And what he said to us in that brief conversation before the press thing we did downstairs, he said, I've been working on my legs. There's no point in me doing squats and leg press when it's going to affect my upper legs. I want to be able to move in and out. I want to be able to pressure him in my feet, use my pace, use my power, and use the ring. So even though he's prepared to be fleet-footed, he also understands he's got to be in there to rough this guy up, to take him to the trenches, to make him work for the win.
I wasn't part of the conversation, but the conversation you were talking about was off camera. Matt Macklin, Johnny Nelson. It seemed like a real laid-back, funny conversation. Did that give you a little bit of a window that he seems to be in a very good place mentally? So many questions about the physicality of both guys, but there are a hell of a lot of questions about the mental side for both guys.
Well, the pressure's off Anthony Joshua in regards to he's lost. So he's now come back to prove something to himself. Not like he did the last time, to prove something to us that he can outbox what we said, or what people say is the best boxer in the world in Oleksandr Usyk. He tried to entertain us, he tried to prove something to us, and he lost. So now this is about him. So he's relaxed and at peace with himself. And you can see that, but he also understands the seriousness of this fight, what he has to do. And there's no nonsense, no messing about, because it hurts. It hurts when he's being critiqued. It hurts when he's being pointed at.
He's talking about saying the belts don't matter, but they do matter, and I can't go back to London without those belts.
That's right. And he's gone back to the hood. I said that. He said that I've got to go back to the streets. So now he's got that street mentality, which I think he needs for this fight. He needs that same rough street mentality of when he boxed Dillian Whyte. He needs to be able to push it to the point of the referee pulling him off. Saying behave yourself, you're hitting low or doing whatever. He needs to get Usyk complaining about something. When he complains, he's uncomfortable. If he's uncomfortable, he's not happy. And if he's not happy, that means AJ's doing something right. That's where he needs to be.
Let me put it to you, though. Could you flip what you've just said there and you say, actually, the pressure's not on AJ? But you yourself have said he has to win. If he loses and it's back-to-back losses to Oleksandr Usyk, the roads are drying up where he would go. So is the pressure actually, I know you're saying the pressure's off, but in other sense, career sense, the pressure is on. He has to win.
That's right. So he signed a big deal for the future of his boxing. So therefore that shows confidence that I'm going in there to win. But AJ's not a backing dance. I keep saying it to everybody. He is not going to carry on in this division if he loses for the second time against Usyk and be a gatekeeper. He ain't going to do that. That's not in his DNA. So he's thinking, you know what, I've had all the criticism. I've seen you glorify Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte, and now this guy that's beat me. I'm getting no props. That's why I said I'll sling the belts in the bin. I'm getting no props. So you know what? The pressure is that kind of pressure there. He's thinking, this is for me. I believe if he does walk away, if he does lose, I believe he'll walk away. He may not say it straight away. His handlers may not want that to happen, but he's just not the kind of guy that would do that. But he's thinking positively. He's not thinking down that line. He's thinking, I've lost. I've heard all the criticism you lot have given me. Now I've got to go back and win this for me, because it hurts what you guys say, so I'm going to stop listening. Remember, after his last fight, he just wiped everybody off his social media because he listened to too many people, too many voices in his head telling him, do this, do that. He knows what he's got to do. That's why he's isolated himself from everybody else.
I'm also half hoping that we get the chance to speak to Robert Garcia today. You mentioned the changes in the corner. Angel Fernandez stays. He was part of the previous camp, but Robert Garcia is now the man that everybody's looking to formulate this game plan. The man that's got to somehow come up with the blueprint for Anthony Joshua to find a way to beat Oleksandr Usyk. Clarity of thought is something that we spoke about on the Toe to Toe podcast, available across all good platforms. Johnny was on it. But it will be interesting if we get a chance to speak to Robert Garcia. I think we've already been told, look, there is no point in talking tactics. He's not going to give anything away. But in terms of mindset and,
that's what they're talking about.
What can he say?
Mindset is this. Do not go in there and try and outbox this guy and do what you did last time. because you're not going to outbox him. You go in there and be you. Use your physicality, use your strength, use your mental strength, or use your attitude. Make this guy uncomfortable. That's what you've got to work on. If you're surrounded by boxing people, talking boxing, then it's something you eat, sleep, dream. It's something that you're immersed in. I remember going to actually watch Tyson Fury when he was sparring with Klitschko in camp. And Emmanuel, the late great Emmanuel Stewart was there, and Emmanuel at night time, we just sit there talking boxing. It felt so good. He talked to you about other fighters, what fighters did, the mindset they had. That's what AJ needs in his head, because if you think and sleep and dream like a boxer, then that's who you are when your back's up against the wall. And that's what Garcia is there for. Angel Fernandez has been there all the way through his career. Well, part of his career with Robert McCracken, and even when he's not fighting, even when he's not got a date for his fight, AJ's still training. So that's why Angel's there. Garcia comes in to polish it, to say, right, this is what you need, this is what you need to add. So with the two coaches, I get it, and I'm quite sure there's a respect there between the coaches, and everybody knows what their job is. You look at the team you walked in with downstairs, very small.
Smaller than previous, yeah.
And that tells me he is now. This is business, you know. If you're not any use to me, I don't need you around me, because I've got things to do. It's me. It's my name's on the tin. Anything happens, they're not talking about you. They're talking about me. So he understands that. So now that team is small, and I liked it. I smiled. I thought, I like that. He had the business people. He had his uncle. He had a couple of his management staff, and that's it, which is important.
I'm looking over my shoulder because anytime people start moving, you think, is someone in the room? It's not. I think it's Andrew Tabiti's brother. I think that was what drew the attention on that. He is a big guy, lovely guy. He just took my number, actually. I'm not quite sure what I can offer Andrew Tabiti's brother, but we'll come to that on a later part of the show. Let me ask you about Garcia, Usyk, AJ triangle. Can anything that bottom line do in terms of tactics? Can AJ at this stage of his career implement wholesale changes? Does he need to implement wholesale changes, or actually will they spend most of their time on the mental aspect and just make small changes? You know, maybe bring more of an aggressive attitude from the first bell.
Well, everybody watched the fight. Everybody saw what AJ did wrong, what he needed to do, and so what he needed to change. Now it's implementing that. You've got to get AJ to believe in what he's got to do, and believe, right, this is what we need to fight. Look at what happened the last time. So Garcia, Fernandez, they're there to put this in his head, say, this is what we want to see. We want to see that you can achieve this in the gym, because when you do that, then you can bring it into the fight. And so if you can act it out in the gym, therefore you can put it in the fight. That's important. That's what these guys are banging in his head over and over and over again. I was speaking to Fraser. I don't know if I'm grassing him up, but
Fraser Clark.
Fraser Clark.
Okay, well, I've given you his second name, so if you're going to grass him up, it could be any Fraser, but now it's Fraser Clark, so be careful.
So Fraser said the only problem I see with AJ is he's too intelligent. You know, we between fights, we'll like be playing PlayStation and stuff like this. Man's playing draft. He overthinks things.
Chess player, isn't
he overthinks things instead of just thinking, get stuck in. Now you look at the fight against Usyk, again, he was overthinking it. You know, and he overanalyzed it. He just needs to just bring that little bit of a rough diamond back about himself. And I'm sure that's what Garcia, that's what Fernandez, that's what all the guys in the gym have been trying to pull him back to that point of thinking.
That's funny you say that, because there is a fight, you might know it, Matt. Matt joins us now. I don't know if you've seen that we all got the memo to wear white. Dinner medals for Johnny. He nearly paid the price there. There's good hospitality in the buffet, and he's nearly paid the price.
Yeah, dude.
I saw a clip of Vladimir Klitschko and Emmanuel Stewart. Emmanuel Stewart was just saying, just throw it. Just throw it. I think it might have actually been Lennox Lewis towards the end of the Tyson fight. That man's ready to go. Throw the shots. Don't think about it. You're overthinking it. How do you stop a fighter overthinking it? I mean, it's a pretty open-ended question, but was Anthony Joshua thinking too much rather than just doing? Very easy to say this side of the ropes.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, Johnny nailed it there. He overthought it. He was trying to outbox the boxer, outthink the thinker. That's what Usyk. That's his game. That's what he's done since he was an amateur all the way through. And Joshua, I suppose he had good success in being. Keeping it long, boxing at range against Ruiz in the rematch, because it was the right thing to do for the rematch with Ruiz. Also, Pulev, it was good again. But he brought that then into the fight with Usyk, and it wasn't the thing to do. They got it wrong tactically, game plan. They got it wrong, and even though he was competitive with him, he probably won 3 or 4 of those middle rounds. By the time he got to that last third, he was exhausted because it took a lot more out of him than it did Usyk. So in the end, he just died the death. He couldn't go another gear, and Usyk stepped it up and hurt him in the end and had him rocking in the 12th. I don't think Joshua will approach the fight in the same way at all. Speaking to him before, he knows it's about mindset. Robert Garcia's mindset will be, get on him. We've seen, he trained Madonna, Margarito. These guys are aggressive, seek and destroy type of fighters. So I think that'll be what all the conversations will be. He says you're the bigger guy. You know what? Don't worry about getting hit. People say, if he takes it to him, he might walk onto a shot. So what if he does? He's been hurt before and come back and won. You're better off getting clipped in the second round than in the 12th. When you're physically drained because you've been trying to play chess with someone who's a better chess player. If you're going to get hurt in the second round, get hurt in the midst of a firefight, because that's one. You not only when you're throwing you might get hit with a shot, but you're going to be throwing big shots too. He's going to be getting hurt as well. And if it becomes that type of a fight, then my money's on Anthony Joshua. If he comes out and he tries to box, my money's on Usyk.
Isn't it fascinating that Anthony Joshua was widely written off after he lost to Andy Ruiz the first time, and in an immediate rematch he was able to change the game plan and do what many people thought that he couldn't do, which was box for 12 rounds and be disciplined. The irony is this time we're all saying don't do that, roles reversed, and it is just a fascinating dynamic to the complexity that is boxing. People say, we talk about it all the time, boxing isn't easy but it's very simple, and that just seems so simple, isn't it? Just do what you used to do.
Boxing's one big massive contradiction. You know what I mean? But
that's why I flourish.
It's full of cliches, but it's knowing what to apply which cliche to which situation. Yeah. Like I say, the rematch for Ruiz, keep it long, box straight, tie him up close, don't get into that mid-distance thing. That worked for that fight, but for this fight, you've got to turn it on its head and you've got to go after him.
Yeah, forget what you sort of were thinking there and go for it. Is it as blunt as saying though that, because it might not happen, but has Anthony Joshua got to risk getting knocked out to knock Oleksandr Usyk out? It might not happen like that, but you get this sentiment. Has he got to risk it all to land the shot that could change the fight in his favour?
That's what he's got to do. And because that gamble, you've got to be prepared to lose a gamble. And he gambled last time. He thought, I'm going to outbox him. I'm going to outbox the boxer. He lost the gamble. Now again, he's got to go in there. I'm going to do what I'm better at, knocking people out. So let's gamble again. So let's see what the odds favour this time. He's got to do that, because if he doesn't, the same things happens again in what happened in the first fight. So
I think it's a bigger risk to try and box him again. We know that doesn't work. I think it's safer to go into the fire because that's where he can fight. That's where he can flourish.
Very interesting. Matt was in the room and you didn't get to hear what Johnny said about what we thought about what both fighters had said earlier, and we're sort of quoting, and it's not great for you people at home, you didn't hear the interview. But one thing he did say was, the interviewer Ben Ransom from Sky Sports News asked him, if you get the chance to land those body shots or land, do you think you could knock him out? And he was very matter of fact, AJ, wasn't he? He was like, well, I've got to land it. He's got to be there to be hit. That will be important about closing that ring off. We've used this example numerous times. Do what Derek Chisora did, but do it in your own way. Educated pressure. Another cliche. We're throwing them out there, but there is everybody seems to be saying the same thing.
Yeah, look, someone could say, he's got to do what Chisora did, but he isn't Chisora. Chisora's got different attributes to what AJ has. Chisora's brilliant at closing the distance. He's bob and weaves, get inside. He's got a great chin. And he's got great stamina. Yeah. Chisora, I don't know if AJ could go at the same pace as Chisora and last 12 rounds the way Chisora does, but he's got assets that Chisora hasn't got. So you know what I mean. But he can't be exactly like Chisora, but he's got to have that mindset that Chisora had. So, his way of going about it in terms of his technique and what shots he throws will be different. But in terms of the mindset that Chisora had, seek and destroy that Marvin Hagler mindset. That's he's got to have a similar mindset to Chisora.
War Chisora. That's a great line there. He is kitchen sink job, Derek, when he goes for it. What I would counter that was that Derek Chisora left it all in the ring. Went 100%. Just going to swing round there. That is Anthony Joshua just being greeted by Andrew Tabiti's brother. Obviously, Andrew Tabiti That was the chant, obviously, that went up in the ring. Can I get a two-time? Andrew Tabiti was obviously employed as a sparring partner for the Ruiz rematch. Look at the size difference between the two there. Andrew Tabiti is actually on the undercard as a heavyweight. The size difference is notable there.
But Andrew did say, I'm not going to stay heavyweight because I don't want to...
Like that.
Yeah, for people like that. So he was smart. He's still not doing bridgerweight. It's not the cruiserweight. So he was smart with it as well, but I'm quite sure he did the right thing, brought the right kind of sparring for Anthony in regards to speed, movement, agility to bring him on. He's good choice.
And that is obviously our first look for everyone at home about the sort of condition that Anthony Joshua is in. So interesting. We spend a lot of time talking about Anthony Joshua's physique, Anthony Joshua's weight. Actually, it's turned this fight. We're all talking about Usyk and how Usyk looks because Usyk does look bigger. Joshua, though, are we looking at things that don't exist? He does look, you said, Johnny, he does look slender. You know, has he trained for speed as well? You know, despite all this talk about power, he still looks very lean.
I just think I think he's probably just focused on that side of things less. I think he's just let his body go wherever
he
goes.
Weighs what he weighs. Yeah.
He weighs what he weighs. It's not about size or being too light because you're mobile. I think he's just
been here 5 weeks and it's hot. So if you're training here, it's going to fall off naturally anyway. So for being here for 5 weeks, he's immersed himself in it when it's just sparring. Because I'm quite sure after a while you're going to get pretty bored because you can't do anything apart from train.
Interesting though that Usyk ended up having a 15-week camp because of the delay. They were delighted with that. You know, when you think 15-week camp, you think, oh, might he have overtrained or is there a danger he's left it in the gym? But actually, with 15 weeks, they were delighted because it gave him more chance to focus on everything, especially with everything that's happening back home as well.
Which tells you Usyk's weight is yes, exactly. You know, because if you're that long to train, it'd fall off. They've thought, we've got to put this on, we've got to work with this. We're putting this on for a reason. You can't say, I just happened to weigh this. If you've been training 15 weeks and it looks bigger than he was the first time, that's calculated.
I was going to say that the two schools of thought. One was thinking, in my head anyway, I was thinking if he bulks up too much, that'll slow him down, his movement. That would be a mistake. But then, you know, maybe he thinks, look, if he's going to come at me and he's intent on dragging me into a fight, then I need to be a bit bigger, I need to be a bit more robust on the inside. So, yeah, maybe that's what they're thinking.
Everyone has had a nightmare getting here because of the different routes. Oleksandr Usyk did his training camp finalising in Dubai. They tried to fly out last night. There is a series of sandstorms in Dubai. They were unable to leave. They were there until gone midnight. 8 hours he had in the first class lounge. I mean, everyone thinks first class lounge, but after 8 hours, I think there's only so many Pepsis or free biscuits, Coca-Cola, any other brands are available. There's only so much of that you can consume. But he is a man that seems to be very comfortable being on his own, in his own skin. You know, have you ever got the impression of any nerves from the man? Or it's almost like he enjoys what he does for every single second. It's almost like he's playing at it, that it is a bit of a game to him.
I mean, he's a real character, isn't he? And very, very well travelled as an amateur as well. So I just think he's that long in the tooth now, that experienced, that accomplished. I think he takes it all in his stride.
You wouldn't want to play poker with him, would you? You wouldn't know what he's got.
No, definitely not.
Johnny, just let me talk to you a little bit about the undercard. Callum Smith is somebody that we spoke about on the Toe to Toe podcast, available on all good platforms, wherever you get your podcast from. Johnny was on it, and Matt. We spoke about Callum Smith at light heavyweight. It'd be interesting to see when he comes in. We were very used to Callum Smith on fight week, this time of the week, seeing him and thinking, how do you squeeze yourself into that super middleweight weight category? I think we'll see a lot more relaxed and a happier Callum Smith. That's probably the easiest prediction that I've ever had to make.
I think there's going to be a lot of worried light heavyweights domestically and on the world scene that Callum Smith has stepped up to light heavy because he can bang. Now he's put the weight on to get a ring at that weight, he'll bang even harder. My only question with Callum Smith is, how will the loss to Canelo have affected him mentally, emotionally, confidence-wise? Because we know he's a good fighter, Callum's a good fighter, but we just don't know how it's affected him. So now he's getting in there at light heavyweight. It's great news. It's perfect news. But you just want to know how the loss affected him. That's some fights can deal with it, some fights can't. I don't know how he deals with it. I'm sure he will be able to. I'm sure his coach will be working on him a hell of a lot. But it has to be done.
Do you mind if I ask you, Johnny? I mean, I know I look like I'm become bored of what you're saying. Everyone's like, Johnny bored him. I was wondering if you could just turn and grab Andrew to beat him. We'll bring him in. Why not talk to the man who's been on the inside of AJ's camp? We'll give it a go. Andrew, come and join us. I have to warn you. I have to warn you. It is a live scenario. We are live to the whole of the UK. But your brother has got a set of lungs on him. He really did stop the room there. Everybody stopped. What was that? Let me ask you. You know, I'm going to ask you about the main event first, because obviously you're very, very close to Team AJ. You're employed as a sparring partner for the Ruiz rematch. You know Saudi Arabia very well. You haven't been part of this camp, but you do know what goes on behind closed doors. From everything that you've seen of Anthony Joshua, have you got any sort of thoughts moving towards the rematch on Saturday night, how it goes?
I say if Joshua changes the style and fight more aggressive, he could hurt Usyk. Just don't get in that boxing chess match with him. Go in there, he punch at his chest. That's gonna stop his head movement. And I see Joshua use his power. He can knock him out.
Have you felt that power in sparring, the aggressive AJ that you're talking about? Did you see that firsthand?
Yeah, for sure. I think one time in sparring, I was moving around doing the tabiti, hit me with the body shot. So that's the same thing he has to do with Usyk.
That's an important part that nobody has really. You think body shots is the key?
Yeah, so the body shot is the key, especially a guy like that. Man, AJ, he's a big guy. So he had to know that. He had to know he's the man in that ring. And if he had that mentality, he's going to beat him.
Let me just ask you though, because you know all about cruiserweights. If you were fighting Oleksandr Usyk, what would you do?
So if I was fighting Oleksandr Usyk, instead of aiming at his head, I would aim at his chest. The chest move is going to stop his head movement, and you have to go to the body, and that's what you got to do.
We thought we might lose you off this card because you've chopped and changed, but you stayed on it and you're at heavyweight. How's heavyweight? Presumably, I mean, there's a lot of nice-looking cakes on offer tonight, and you can do that now. The cruiserweight, you don't have to worry about. But heavyweight, happy there?
So heavyweight, I'm just going to take certain fights. I'm not going to rush in and fight, one of these big old guys like a Horsevich or Joshua. But we take certain fights. But I want to aimly at cruiserweight and bridgerweight. Yeah.
James Wilson it is on Saturday night. What do you know about him? I think it is the Beast against the Beast. You both called the Beast, so I'm not a better man, but the Beast will win unless it's a draw. But how confident are you on Saturday night? What sort of fight can we expect from you?
I'm real confident. I'm just going to use my skills, my jab, and I believe I'm going to get the knockout.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us. I've got to give your brother a proper shout out. What is your brother's name? Marcello. Yeah. Okay, we just ruined everybody else's interviews in the room. Okay. Give him the mic. No, he doesn't. 100% doesn't need one. I mean, the whole of the world's media. What have I started? I'm sorry. Not my fault. I am sorry about that. That's an international apology for everybody that was doing their interviews there. I didn't think it would go like that, but who knows?
Put that apology out in the world feed.
Oh no. Very interesting what Andrew's saying there. Perhaps not too surprising though. We haven't really addressed. I mean, we spoke about tactics. Just come forward, Matt. We're losing our walkway here. Just talk to me about when Anthony Joshua did have success in the first fight. He was throwing that sort of looping bolo shot to the body. We haven't really spoke about body work or really in-depth tactics. Is that one facet of Anthony Joshua's game that he could implement? I don't know if you saw that clip of Angel Flanders wearing the body belt. He was whipping in hooks to the body. Are we starting to actually maybe join a few dots here? That could be a tactic.
Yeah, look, everyone's focused mostly on the mindset, haven't we? He mentioned it about the mentality. We've talked about mindset the last couple of days. But yeah, someone like Usyk who's mobile and moving, the chest is a big target. Especially with the southpaw as well, to reach with the right hand. And he's going to pull back and counter over the top with that jab or go underneath you like that. You don't want to be reaching, but if you drive the straight right hand into the chest. He was doing the upper body movement. You're still going to drive him backwards. Then you step to him. You've got him under pressure. Then now he's being backed up. So that's a Buddy McGirt always used to say that. Don't aim at the head. Just always drive him back at the chest. If they're slipping and sliding, aim at the chest, drive them back. You'll knock them off balance. Step to them. Now they're under pressure. Now they're on the back foot. So yeah, I think that's something that's part of. That is, aiming at the chest, pushing Usyk back is part of Joshua imposing himself on Usyk, being the bigger man. taking control of the fight.
How important is the first sort of 3, 6 and 9 minutes? It's very easy for me to say because every minute is important in a fight because you can get knocked out with one punch at any time. But is there a general feeling here that AJ can't be chasing, so he can't let himself get 3, 4 rounds behind and have to get desperate? The more desperate he gets, the more he chases, the bigger the chance he gets clipped. If you had 2 minutes with AJ, would you be saying, do not let the fight slip away in the first few minutes, get on him? Very easy to say that, but
you want to see AJ coming out of that dressing room, walk into the ring with steam coming off him. You want to know he's warm, ready to go. When that bell rings, he's straight out the traps, and he's got to put it on Usyk straight away because it's important, I think, for Joshua to get a good start. Because it's all right sitting there with Garcia and his team and talking about how they're going to win it and what they need to do and all the rest of it, but he needs to then go and execute that and make that happen. And the quicker he starts getting success and feels like the fight's going his way, that'll just settle him in terms of his nerves. It'll settle his confidence. Will start growing, and belief is key, isn't it? And then the belief will really start to come out in him then. And I think I think we're in for a great fight.
Before I ruined the international fighter arrivals for absolutely everybody in the room, we were talking about Callum Smith. Callum is obviously trained by Buddy McGirt, your old trainer. He called you Harry Styles the last time that he saw you, which was absolutely hilarious. When you think of Callum Smith at light heavyweight, do you see him being a major player? This is a final eliminator for the WBC title, so in theory he's one shot away from a world title. Do you see him being a real problem in that division?
Without a doubt, without any doubt at all. I think he probably should have moved up a while ago, but you become world champion and you're making defences, you're at the top of that division, you try and hang on in there a little bit, and sometimes it takes for a loss to happen for you to actually make that move that you should have made before. So
perfect time to do it.
I think it'll give him a new lease of life as well. And I think the move with Buddy, I think he'll really suit Callum because Buddy's like a perfectionist, a real stylist, and Callum's textbook. So I think that's going to be a good marriage.
I don't know Buddy on a personal level at all, but I do know Callum. And from an outsider looking in, you could not get two more contrasting characters. Paul Smith said to me, Callum Smith didn't speak till he was 13. He just wouldn't speak at home. Whereas Buddy, okay, he doesn't say a hell of a lot, but the fight clips I've seen of him, certainly some of the corner work with Arturo Gatti and stuff like that, are a real colourful character. Do you think it could be one of those opposites attract? I don't know. You know what Buddy is like.
Yeah, I think he'd be good for Callum's shy personality because Buddy's such a character and such a joker and a messer. He's always having a laugh, you know what I mean? I think he'll bring it out in Callum because Callum is quite shy, but you
get the Smiths together and they are the funniest bunch going. So although I'm saying how quiet he is, behind closed doors they are very, very funny themselves.
I think Callum's shy probably because he couldn't get a word in the family, and he's the youngest. Paul and Stephen, geez, you can't get a word in, and that's me saying that.
And you wouldn't argue with Liam. I'm putting that out there. You 100% wouldn't argue with Liam. Working further down the card, there are some intriguing battles on there. Badu Jack is a person of interest. Ram Nurali as well, becoming the first female fighter to box in Saudi Arabia. When you look at the card as a whole, there is one that stands out for us on Sky Sports, and that is Ben Whittaker. I mean, what more can be said about his pro debut that we haven't already said? Just in terms of how ludicrous it was, the showboating was off the scale, a one-punch knockout, everything you could have hoped for.
If we were going to sit together and write a script for how we were hoping that Ben Whittaker's pro debut would go, that's how it went. Yeah. Showcase first round, showed his personality, his arrogance, his defensive skills. Couldn't hit him, could he? All that kind of thing. And then highlight reel one-punch KO. So it was brilliant. So, but listen, he's going to have a much tougher test ahead. But with the amateur pedigree that we know he has as well, the future looks bright for him.
Would have been very easy for him to drift away and have a holiday. A pro debut, yes, it was a relatively easy job for him, taking nothing away from his opponent at all. But fighters do like to drift away on holiday, especially, he had a big shoulder injury and he's come back. It is encouraging to see him straight back out. Bournemouth was not long ago. He's straight back into the fire here in Saudi Arabia. How important is it from a momentum point of view, even for an Olympian, as an Olympic silver medalist, he knows what he's doing, but to get that pro momentum?
Yeah, well, he lost a little bit of time, didn't he? Had the operation on the injury, which was needed. And the fact that he even had that injury through the whole Olympics, that would have hampered him massively. So he had to get that sorted. But now that he's had that time out, I don't think he wants to waste any more time. I think he wants to put his foot on the gas and move. I think he wants to move quickly. He talked about possibly fighting Dan Aziz in after 5 or 6 fights. So he wants to get a. Why wait? If you've got, I think you move a fighter. It's performance related. If he's knocking guys out and he's producing the goods, you step him up.
Yeah, why hold him back?
Yeah.
Let me just ask you how you think he'll be received out here. It's a different crowd. It's only a small crowd as well. A few Brits have travelled, but you just think like the entertainment factor that you said. Whether you love him or you hate him, you're going to watch him. How do you think he'll be received on the ground here? Because he's a real confident character, isn't he?
Well, I think it'll be mixed reaction because certain people love that and some people don't like that, but they'll all be talking about him because that's a fact. So, I think it'll be a mixed bag.
Let me just turn around, Matt. I don't want to ignore you. So you can't quite see. Let's just step out the way here, Matt. All the way down there in that huddle is Anthony Joshua. I would say that he's probably not even worked his way through a third of the people here at the moment. He's going to be here for quite a while. We haven't actually laid eyes on Oleksandr Usyk yet either. His team are here. He's downstairs. He was told that he had one more interview to do. They're making their way up. One of the things I would say about these Fight Week events here in Saudi Arabia is there's a lot of people here. There are a lot of requests and things take a little bit longer, but you can see that he's probably only about a third of the way through. But this is the Mammoth rematch. Forgive me, yes, we are here in Jeddah for the Mammoth rematch between Anthony Joshua and Oleksandr Usyk. We are right on the shoreline of the Red Sea here in Jeddah. Majority of the fighters are now here. As I said, there are 1 or 2 delays with connecting flights. I know that Egis Klimas, for example, Usyk's manager, hasn't been able to touch down yet. I know some of the matchroom staff still hold up in Dubai. Eddie Hearn did manage to get here. I think he had to switch flights. He was one of those that were caught up in all of the travel chaos. But slowly but surely, everybody is getting their feet on the ground. And it does have a really, really big fight feel. As do all of the world heavyweight title fights, it hasn't lost its spark or awe. It is one of those that the world heavyweight title is almost an international recognised brand, a sporting event that travels around the world, and this is no different. Certainly the international media have all made their way here to, and the local media, I have to say, have all made their way here to Jeddah by hook or by crook. Remember, the only place to watch this fight in the UK and Ireland is on Sky Sports Box Office. So however you're going to order it, red button, make sure you got all of your snacks in order, packed undercard, and of course the main event that we've all been waiting for, the rematch, the immediate rematch. Just looking at a few facts and figures. It is, of course, a rematch for the IBF, WBA and WBO heavyweight belts, but Tyson Fury this week has vacated the Ring Magazine belt, so the vacant Ring Magazine belt will be on the line. Nice little line as well. 10 years ago last week, Anthony Joshua was crowned Olympic champion. Those memorable games in London. So we're just being informed Anthony Joshua is going to make his way around this dog leg here, and I'm hoping that he will stop and talk to us for just a couple of minutes. And you are going to see him there. Yes, he is coming through. Apologies. It is what's the word I'm looking at? A very fluid environment with people coming through the shot. That's just the way it is. But down there is Anthony Joshua. I'm not sure if we're guaranteed to get a word with him here, so I'm going to risk it all as he comes past. As Anthony Joshua comes past, I will try and grab a quick word with him. Wish me luck. Oleksandr Usyk is apparently making his way up to the press area. So those of you that are watching at home, back in the UK or wherever you are, stay with us. I'm just going to step back into vision now, and forgive me if I keep looking over my shoulder. I'm just going to try and keep one eye on the movements. Johnny Nelson is going to join us back in the mix. And KD from 258, KD, you come in the middle here. The middle man, the main man in the middle. How has it all been? We're just talking about Anthony making his way through a lot of media commitments. It is a different sort of week out here. It's been a long camp. How's he been?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been tough for him. Definitely tough. We've probably brought in a minimum of 13 sparring partners this camp.
Really?
And I'm going from.
And how do you find sparring for Usyk? It's not necessarily the easiest style to replicate and the easiest job to find.
All right. Well, first they got to be left-handed, so we need them southpaws. I think we just went for a wide range of strong guys, light guys, movers, stand-in traders. Like, we just had a variety of everything. So him going through the rounds, some days it was one man in, one man out, who's surviving, people were hitting the canvas. The camp's been crazy.
People hitting the canvas. I mean, look,
people have been hitting the canvas. I'm not going to hide it. They came to get paid for that, and it's been happening.
Wow, there you go. I mean, I didn't even have to tease it out of you.
I'm not going to hide it.
What else can you tell us that's been going on behind closed doors? It is obviously a new team. A new team takes time to gel. As Robert, Garcia, Angel, Fernandez, who stayed on from the previous camp, yourself, have you guys been able to merge into a team that you feel can win this fight?
Yeah, do you know what? It's not been as tough as I thought it would be. Robert Garcia, for me, shows a lot of similarities to Robert McCracken, which people might think, oh, that's not. But I'm talking about in their mannerisms, in their relaxedness, in their speaking from experience. And I think it's just a different angle of experience that he's showing Anthony. Like the other day, he'll just mention fights to him. And AJ, as everyone knows, loves to go back watching some old fights, and these ones are black and white now that I'm seeing. I'm like, all right, cool.
Going old school.
Yeah, but Robert's been a great addition. He's gelled with the team. He's imposed his things that work well. I'm pretty sure he's seen things that we've kept, that he's going to take back to America with him and continue working with his fighters, because it's gone really well, and you'll see that on the night.
It's a question for Anthony, but I do want to ask you, you're one of his best friends, I was going to say in the team, but in life, one of his best friends. You know him better than anyone. I watched an interview with our colleague Savage Dan that he did with one of the sponsors, and he was very open to saying, what would you do differently this time that you didn't do first time? He said, I would believe that I can win. That shocked me a little bit. From what you saw, did he not believe 100% in himself that he could win that first fight? And from what you've seen this time round, does he believe that on Saturday night, under those bright lights, that he can do it?
In all honesty, the last camp, I just felt like he didn't adapt in the fight, and I feel like who he is hasn't changed. I feel like there's been parts of bringing back the old him that people talk about, and
is that
and
the
new
Dillian White fights and the aggressive AJ that was running through people?
Do you know what it is? He's just a very calculated fighter. I think that. I'll say fighter. In the ring, there's certain things he does that shock us all. Like I've seen him do everything in the ring, from switch up and change stance to taunt people to. I guess the only thing I can relate it to is probably like football, where in training you could see people doing a million step overs looking like Ronaldo, but in the game, who's actually really doing it? And that's where, for me, I've seen so much from him that come the night, I just see that the better man won on the night, and we got a chance to put that right.
How many times have we heard that about gym lights and night lights on the ring on the night, two different things, you know, and you've got to be able to take that and move it to there. You've got to be able to implement that. Vitally important.
It's creating that same similarity. That's what you do, and when you produce cameos of brilliance in the gym, you've got to be able to take that same environment that preps you for that way. You've got your same team, the same bit of banter, the same music, the same vibe. So when you get in the ring, the only thing that's changed is the environment, is the ring location, the people that are watching. So if you can relax and keep your head, while everybody else around you is losing theirs, sounds familiar. There you go. So and that's what it's all about. There's true depth to that. That's what it's all about. You've got to keep your head and bring what you bring in the gym into the ring when it comes to competition. And once you've got there, it doesn't matter how much noise is going on, it doesn't matter what's happening around you, you can produce that. That's when you produce cameos of brilliance.
It is our job to create hype, create discussion. Can he do it? Can't he do it? Why did he do this? Why didn't he do that? How is he in terms of his mindset coming into this one? Has he got that clarity of thought that he knows what he needs to do and execute it on the night?
Honestly, I felt like in the change room he knew what needed to be done after the fight. So he's just carried himself like a true professional. He's had fun in training. He's had it hard. It's been difficult, but the bottom line is he knows what he needs to do, and he's going to do it on the night.
You play a lot of FIFA and PlayStation with him. Has it been a case of you just got to let him win? You've been getting it, like, let him win every single game. You just want to keep that confidence sky high? Because I think you told us a story off camera before, like you are his business partner as well. You know, you can argue about business, and then 2 minutes later say, "Do you want a game of Xbox or FIFA?" And you're like, "How can we do this?" Have you got one up on him before I let you go? Have you had your wins, your small wins?
I'll put it out there. This camp, we actually haven't had much FIFA. The change of scenery didn't really suit it up in Loughborough, but since we've been out in Saudi Arabia, let's just say that the snooker and the pool, it's getting heated, okay? It's getting heated, okay? And he keeps talking about this winning attitude and this winning mindset, and he's carrying it into everything. Everything's a competition. Everything's a competition, like, and he's on it. Getting the ice bath, it's who's staying in longer. It's just like, all right, well, you only had to do like 5 minutes, but cool, I'm staying in longer because you fuckers ain't got out. Sorry for swearing.
I mean, we've been on, I reckon, for about an hour and 20 minutes. No swear words. Apologies. There's a big bleep coming there, big bleep button. Apologies. One word before I let you go. I am going to let you go. But Ben Whittaker, I mean, in terms of professional debut, I think if you didn't know then, you know now what you're getting. Just your thoughts on what was an amazing professional debut for him.
Oh, do you know what? Honestly, I've been around so many fighters over the years, and I've seen nothing like this in confidence. I've got a video on my phone of him dancing just before coming out, where the guy's knocked on the door. He's like, "You're on in 5 minutes." Everyone's like, his dad's sitting there quite cool. Joby's there quite this. Sugar's like relaxed, and he's just like still dancing away. And I'm thinking, "God, this guy's got so much energy." What's like?
But it's not for show. That is him, isn't it?
Yeah, he's looking at the time. He's like, "It's a long 5 minutes. Let's get out there." So, look, we've turned it around in a matter of weeks. 258 management have got him back out again. And the thing for him is, he needs the momentum, but he wants to show people that, look, I want to keep delivering. And like, even down to him picking his outfit for the night, it's like he's so sure about everything that he's doing, from his boots to his gloves. It's like, it's been such a joy to work with someone who knows what they want, because it's, can you deliver this for me? And it's getting it out. He said from day one, I want to get on that show in Saudi, and it's been delivered for him. And even when it was a possibility, it's like, oh, it's a few weeks after. Do you want to go back out? Do you want to have a break? Yeah, I want to go back out. And then find out when I can get out after that. He saw Fraser Clark's on the show in October. I had that up as well. Is there a space for me?
September 3rd, Fraser Clark, heavyweight, Liverpool, yeah. Boxer show. Make sure you want to watch that live on Sky Sports. KD, thank you very much for coming and joining us. He's only gone and dropped the swear word, hasn't he? I mean, well, you're not coming back on. Who got in?
Dubbed it in.
I mean, the line I took from that, I just can't believe he just threw it out there, is we've had many sparring partners and a few of them have been dropping to the canvas. I mean, we shouldn't really be surprised that sparring partners get knocked out.
Sure, yeah, but without a doubt. But, I was actually going to ask him, what's the biggest name in sparring partners you've been using? Because remember, David Haye was using the likes of Deontay Wilder,
Well, we spoke about this
Hrgovic.
earlier on the Toe to Toe podcast, available on all good platforms. David Haye was using Hrgovic, Richard Towers, Wilder. I mean, what a camp.
And that's what I'm saying. If you make your preparation hard, the fight will be easy. And that's how you've got to. And you don't look forward to it. It's like getting ready for a fight every day of the week. And you don't look forward to it. But I'll find out. I'll dig the information out later on in the week. Just want to know who it is.
People are going to cotton on soon. Anything they say to you in confidence, you may say on camera.
very good.
You buried about 3 confidential sources there already.
I'm keeping a secret.
I am intrigued to know. So they did assure us that at no point would Oleksandr Usyk and Anthony Joshua clash in the same room, but the teams are now in the same room. There's a lot of Usyk tracksuits.
The silence just.
Yeah, I know. They can't be listening to me, surely. Yeah, Anthony's here. Anthony, we are live. I'm just going to say to you one very quick question. It may happen, it may not. I'm still hanging on. Anthony, we are live just on that camera. How are you? You've had a lot of commitments there. How are you feeling now? All talked out, probably.
A little bit, but we've got to make time for Sky. Do you know what I'm saying?
Come on.
Been me from the start and all that stuff. So
just-
shout out to all the Sky people. I love you and I miss you so much.
We just had KD on the stream.
He's on the screen.
Yeah, but
Let
what?
me tell you that.
No,
I've been telling KD to get on the screen for years. I think he's a good talker. He understands the business. He knows me, and I'm happy. Here he is. Actually,
he's not coming back on because he swore. He swore. He's not coming back on.
Yeah,
I was quoting you.
No.
This is different. This is different.
I might be getting you in trouble here, but he spoke about your sparring, difficulty of getting all those sparring partners in. He said that some sparring partners have been dropping to the canvas. That is.
Oh, no, I don't talk about that stuff. It's not good. It's not good to talk about that stuff.
But is that a sign? I'm not going to ask questions anymore about it. But is that a sign that you are ready? That you've managed to get the sparring that you needed?
No, all that stuff is only good for that day, right? Now it's about Saturday, and it does, just because you've had whatever in sparring, none of that stuff it's all irrelevant. I'm lost for words because Saturday's all that matters.
Yeah.
All that other stuff is irrelevant. Just go out there and do my job Saturday.
Good. I'm getting moved on. Thank you for stopping. Thank you very much. There you go. There he is.
You're in trouble.
Staying with these pictures, there is. Hold on, guys. We are live. There's lights going. There's lights on the floor. No, I've just. So that is Anthony Joshua, who has finished his media commitments for tonight. The grand arrivals. Cuts a very confident challenger there, Johnny, doesn't he? I mean.
I think you just got KD in trouble.
Yeah, I did. I think I did. Yeah, I think I did. However, what I will say, he gave him the big build-up before he said. Before he said, "Great that you've got him on the screen." Then I told him what he had said, and he said, "But don't listen to what he said." Thank you very much to Team Joshua for coming on. He had a hell of a lot to say there. And respect to the sparring partners, because I was surprised.
And his face changed a bit. He went, no, I'm not talking.
Yeah, but he's not about that.
Yeah,
he's
and
not
that's
here
what I'm
to
saying.
score points off sparring partners.
Exactly. So, and I'm quite sure down the line you'll hear those stories come out about sparring partners. I'm quite sure they've got their own private little fortune to drop that in. But look at this. He's walking out. He's doing his job. He's come to tick off what he's had to do. Now he's back in the leaving and go back to his room and just relax and switch off. It must be so hard for the fighters to get involved in this, to do this come fight week. To me, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer.
If you're still at home and you're still watching, we're still going with one more fighter to come. They take their time going round, everybody, so thank you for staying with us wherever you are in the world. That was Anthony Joshua. Matt, I mean...
Where did you sneak off?
Matt got swallowed up by the crowd in there.
Got swept with the crowd. I couldn't get out of the way.
He does talk well. You know, shock horror, an Olympic medalist, gold medalist who was media trained and he's had his whole career in front of the cameras. We shouldn't be surprised, but he does say the right things that encourages me that he is in the right place.
Yeah, but I don't think it's just that he says the right things. I read body language as well. You know, I think it's legit what he's saying. Yeah, it is what we want to hear, that he's learned from the last fight, that he knows he needs to go in there and put it on him, drag him into a dogfight. But, you know, I really get the sense that it's not just talk. He's like we said earlier, that it's all right sitting there around and talking about tactics, like, you know, Garcia saying we think this is what you should do, but the fighter has to buy into the tactics that the trainer suggests, and he has to be fully commit to it. He has to be on the same page as him. But I feel like that is there. Do you know what I mean? I feel like he thinks, you know what? Yeah, I tried to box him. I came off second best. That ain't going to happen again. I'm going to stick it on him.
Yeah, very much so. Just looking around the room, it is funny how, like, all of a sudden the tension drops a little bit. It's all gone a little bit quiet now, hasn't it? It's talk about changing dynamic as we wait now for the champion. Would have hurt. Do you think it would have hurt? Well, we know it did because he said it to us off camera. But Anthony Joshua coming here, he has to do his commitments first. He'll ring first on the night. He won't have the belts. He'll be introduced as the challenger. Fighters have egos.
You know what?
You don't think it's going to bother him?
You know what? I actually prefer that. I actually prefer coming in first. So when your opponent comes in, he sees you stood there waiting for him. He sees you're his image. You know, I actually prefer that. I actually think with Anthony Joshua, maybe because he's used to coming in second, he's used to having the champion's treatment. This is a new lefty because he walks in first. He did it with Ruiz, remember, so he's done it before. I like the fact of standing in the ring when your opponent's coming out and he sees you, and he's got a chance to look at you. You're going to be in his head all the way coming through. So to me, I don't think it's going to make any difference. If anything, it'll inspire him.
That being said, though, we all know that, like, fighters like to make people wait. Usyk, it's well within his right to make Joshua wait as long as possible. I'm trying to think. You waited something like 11 minutes. Longer than that. Joe Gallagher got some pads out. I mean, threatened to go back to... I said you're a 15-round fighter. But against Felix Sturm in Germany, the light show, the VTs, you were waiting ages. Fighters are, like, you know, you don't want to take the mick, but you can. That is the game. That is the champion's right.
I don't think Usyk's that kind of guy.
And Usyk said, I'm professional, he'll walk. But that could harm Usyk as well. You know, he warms up and then all of a sudden he's got to wait as well. But it could happen.
Yeah, look, I think, you know, in Germany, when I fought Felix Sturm, and they did it with other fighters, he was also the promoter of that show, and they kept you waiting. They wanted you to cool down, get cold, and come out. So that was an old trick in Germany. Well, I wasn't the first person to experience that, so
you knew what was coming.
I was ready for it. But I don't think that'll happen here. I think it's a different promotion. It's Matchroom. I think Matchroom are heavily involved in the show, and I think he'll come out fairly soon. And but I think it'll be a fast start. I think it'll catch fire early doors. It was funny because Usyk started the last fight really quickly. He came out like the challenger, looking to rip that title away from Anthony Joshua. Now, that's exactly what Joshua needs to do in this fight.
Yeah, that is a very interesting dynamic. There's so many narratives. I mean, people might be thinking, yeah, you've been through them enough. We'll start again, start on page 1. I can also see Egis Klimas is in the room. He would be a great person to come and train.
See if I can get him. I'll see if I can get him.
Yeah, Matt, you go off and do some scouting there, see if he'll join us. There's also a gentleman in the room. I am going to tell this story, and I might ham it up a little bit for TV. But when Anthony Crolla boxed Vasily Lomachenko in Los Angeles, there was a member of Team Lomachenko who simply walked around and stared at Anthony Crolla and everything that he did. Just stared at him. And then Joe Gallagher cottoned onto that, and then we had this awkward dynamic of people staring at each other. And the guy is here. I can see him. He's in a Team Usyk jacket. He sort of looks after Loma and Usyk.
That's what you do. You've got to ghost them. You've got to ghost that stuff.
These guys have got everything covered, though, is the point I'm making.
Even when you're in a ring, you know, if you're the fighter, you eye at the corner man, intimidate the corner, get him angry, make him feel uncomfortable. Because if you make him uncomfortable, you make the fighter uncomfortable. These are plans. These are things that have got to be done. It's about intimidating every aspect of a fighter. So, that was a nice little cute one.
Is Egis going to join us? Egis, will you join us very briefly?
I'm good. He's cheering for Joshua. I know that. I saw it. We're in the different corners.
We're neutral. I'm surprised to see you because I understand there were terrible sandstorms in Dubai trying to make your transfer. We didn't think that we would see you tonight, but you are here. You've made it.
Yes, actually it was we started in the morning, but then after after 2, after 3 cleared it up, and all the flights started flying out.
Usyk was delayed last night, was he?
He was delayed about maybe for 6 hours. They were waiting.
And was he okay with that? He seems pretty relaxed today.
Listen, at this stage, nobody can surprise Usyk.
Is that true? There is nothing that you can say or do. You know him better than anybody. When he's with us, he's always super relaxed. But behind closed doors, is he bothered by anything, or is the Usyk that we see all the time, the guy that's super relaxed, he's always telling jokes, is that the Usyk 24/7?
Not a 24/7. He's a human being, and of course, he has a heart. He speaks with kids and with a wife, and he has now to deal with all the struggles. But he's a very, very minded. So he doesn't nerves for nothing.
Any difference between Usyk, the challenger at Tottenham Hotspur, when he was the challenger for the title, and the Usyk that we have now that will ring with the belts?
I think right now he's more confident.
Is he?
I think so, yeah. He's more confident. I haven't seen him for a few days. I arrived to Dubai for on the 9th, stayed there with a team with the 12th, and I went to Uzbekistan. I had a guy fighting in Uzbekistan on a show. So I arrived yesterday back to Dubai, and that's why I missed to come here with a team yesterday. I came in today.
You're getting good air miles. Don't knock it. You can get into all the lounges with those air miles. So gold member and stuff like that.
I'm not proud of it.
Can I ask you, you can just say I don't know, but
I don't know.
He looks bigger. He looks like he's coming in heavier. From what you've seen, are we imagining something that isn't there, or will he be heavier than the first fight? And is it deliberate?
Well, I'm not going to answer it. I'm not going to answer it.
I don't know. Let me just ask you I don't want to say give me your prediction, but how do you think the fight goes? You could call this show Repeat or Revenge. Are you confident?
Ask him. He knows.
These two neutral guys. We're wearing white because we're neutral.
Yes,
This is us.
yes.
We are neutral.
Of course. I think Usyk is going to win. Maybe even by stoppage in the late rounds.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
guys for
There you
having
go. Look, always a pleasure.
Thank you, my friend.
People love these live streams, don't they? I look at them with pure fear. What are people going to say? But he was very cool.
You know what? He's so much more relaxed now that he's holding the champion.
He thinks you're Team Joshua.
I don't know why. What did I say?
I don't know. He's obviously not watching our content. The fact that he didn't say no, he's going to be the same weight, is basically him saying he is heavier. I mean, I think we all know now, don't we? I've hammered it enough. We've seen something that we think, the pictures, the videos, the clips, and now he is going to be slightly heavier. Maybe it's not a big talking point, but he is going to be heavier.
Yeah, I think he's noticeably heavier. It's going to be interesting to see what he actually does weigh on the scales.
I'd be surprised if not the same, a little bit heavier than Joshua. Because Joshua looks lighter than what he normally is. Yeah. So don't be surprised and shocked with it, but we'll see.
Because
I don't know if that'll suit him.
That's my point. So his style suits. So he's fleet-footed. He's got the movement. He's got the agility. He's got the movement around the ring. He's had everything going for him. So when you're a bigger guy, it's like trying to swat a fly. Now he's put a bit of size on. Now, he'll have a bit more spite in his punch. He can plant the feet, but will it suit him down along? Because he doesn't want to be getting hit by Anthony Joshua. He wants to do exactly what he did before and not be hit clean. And he was able to not be hit clean by AJ, even though his face was quite a mess afterwards. And that's what got him through the fight. If he gets hit clean by him, then we've got a different style of fight.
One of the things we haven't really spoke about is if Usyk wins the rematch, that will be 2 wins over the guy who was champion and he's defended his belts. Can we then stop the conversation that Usyk is not a fully fledged natural heavyweight? Because I think really it's not a narrative that we speak about anymore. It's not a storyline in this fight. He's already beaten. You're not going to have an easy night against Derek Chisora. That kind of told us, although the scores were close, He did tell us that he could succeed at heavyweight. Then he went and beat the man in Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, and look at the 2 fights that Chisora had since losing to Usyk, with Parker and Pulev. You know what I mean? So, do you know what I mean?
His narrow loss to Usyk looks better with every fight that passes.
And remember, Evander Holyfield had the same cross to bear when he jumped from cruiserweight to heavyweight. He's not a proper heavyweight. He's not a proper. Then that conversation was forgotten, especially when he's fighting big monsters like Riddick Bowe and co. So the first 2 or 3 fights, you're going to say he's only
cruiserweight. 7 when he boxed Bowe the first time, wasn't
exactly. So then you look and you think, you know what, this guy's a heavyweight. That's simple. I think with Usyk now, he was a cruiserweight, established himself at a cruiserweight. Now he's a heavyweight. He's just got to get comfortable.
And he's the heavyweight champion of the world, but it's not a fluke. It's
it's not coincidence. It's not coincidence.
If you're good enough, you're big enough.
Yeah, very, very true. How do you think this is something that we spoke about on the Toe to Toe podcast, available on all good platforms? But we will go into it again. We've got the time, and it is a sensitive issue. We've been very light-hearted in this stream so far, but this is a serious issue. Everything that's happening back home in Ukraine. Usyk, our colleagues at ESPN did a story. Originally, he was holed up in a bunker, and shells were falling outside. He was then faced with the dilemma: should he leave his country and go into training camp? He has obviously made that choice, but it weighs heavy on him. On the night, he'll have the colours of freedom. How can we even begin to put ourselves in his mindset? But we spoke to him earlier, and he is using it as a form of motivation. And how important will that be for him to wear those colours on the night? And the question I'm asking really is, if he wasn't ready, he probably wouldn't be in this situation. It must be that it's something he feels that he can balance mentally.
Yeah, I'd say he's definitely using it as fuel as well. The responsibility of flying the flag for the Ukraine and to drive inspiration and to inspire a country that's at war. So yeah, I mean, we can only try and imagine how he must feel.
As a fighter, you take yourself to the darkest places when it comes to trying to motivate yourself to give it your all when you get in the ring. And I'm quite sure, he'll find it easy going there. He'll find it easy to get passionate and emotional about what job he's got to do. He may look at Anthony Joshua and he may see him as their oppressors. That's happening over there in Usyk, in the Ukraine. So I think, one, to be able to concentrate on the job. Two, he's got a chance of drawing more attention to what's happening in his country. He's a very patriotic guy. I keep saying that, and I say that because I saw what it was like in the dressing room before he boxed Anthony Joshua in the first fight. Flags up, national anthem's playing, laid there. He was like meditating to the national anthem. Nobody dared go near him, and I saw each of them give each other the nods and say, "Don't do it, leave him alone." This guy's a serious dude and a serious thinker. And maybe like Vitaly Klitschko, I think boxing is just a step in his life. And I think he'll go on to get involved in different aspects and things to do with his country.
The footage that Johnny Nelson is talking about is from our documentary, Joshua v Usyk, Dethrone the King. It is available on demand now. If you didn't catch it last night on Sky Sports Main Event, go on demand or talk into the remote. I'm going to get in trouble with the technology people now. There is a technical way of saying that. Talk into the remote, Dethrone the King, Joshua v Usyk, on demand now. You'll thank me for it later. Very, very good watch. Just to paint a picture for you, Usyk is in the building now. So he's in that room just off to the side. So before too long, he will be starting his media rounds. You can see the Colours of Freedom t-shirt that I was talking about there. That is the t-shirt that Oleksandr Usyk will be wearing on the night. And the fight, as a gesture, is free to air on Usyk's YouTube channel, and it's free to air on state TV back in the Ukraine as well. So here's hoping that everybody in the Ukraine, with the terrors and the atrocities that are happening there, will get a chance to watch their countryman on Oleksandr Usyk. I'm looking off camera. I know I'm not interested, but just to see if when we catch a glimpse of Usyk, we will let you know. So the rest of fight week, we have got some media workouts tomorrow. Got undercard and main event press conferences, and then of course we've made so much about the weight. The weigh-in Friday mid-afternoon here, so midday for you guys. It's indoors, it's not outdoors. One thing that we've experienced so far, the heat here is incredible. It's like no other heat, desert heat, but all of the events are actually being held indoors, so actually it's only the transit between the different places. I did see those clips of AJ running outside though, so he's using that heat to his benefit.
That's why I can see him. That's why he looks so slim. You know, if he's been here 5 weeks, you know, doing things like that, you know, the heat, it's got to make you naturally strip it down, no matter what you try and put on, and you know, to keep yourself fit. And he's just got comfortable around it. It strikes me that he'll be pretty bored being here, you know, and like it or not, he'll be pretty bored being here. All he can do is fight, train, spar. Some of the team, I spoke to him, when did you guys get here? They said this week. You know, so he's been by himself, just with his coaches. So, and that's hard if that's all you consumed by. You've not got the time at home.
Coming up to 6 weeks.
Yeah,
6 weeks that NC will be here. Yeah.
This will be 6 weeks, and his team haven't been here that long. They've come this week, so I'm sure it was with his coaches, with his sparring partners, and that's it. Job's done.
So it would be very easy to sort of accuse AJ of could have stayed in Sheffield, could have kept with what had worked and then not worked for him in the past, but he took himself to Loughborough, working alongside Richard Riakporhe, Fraser Clark. I mean, what an experience for those guys, by the way. Yeah. But then decamping here for 6 weeks, he's leaving no stone unturned in terms of preparation. There's not much criticism there.
He's leaving himself no excuses. And if you do that going into a fight and you give yourself no excuses, that means you've given yourself every excuse in a fight to win. Because you've got nothing to fall back on, no injuries, no this happened, I missed out on that, I cut that out. When you put yourself in that position, it just helps with the confidence. Now he's talking about in this fight here, I've got to go in there believing I can win. I don't believe that he didn't believe he could win. I think he underestimated who was in front of him. And I suppose it's like when Tony Bellew boxed Usyk. I think Tony Bellew didn't believe he could win, even though he was winning up to getting stopped. And so when all of a sudden he's thinking, oh my God, you know, he combusted, he fell to pieces, but he was actually doing well. So if you can go in there and think, I can beat this guy, what I'm going to do works. Everybody looks unbeatable until they're beaten. And if you respect and you look at somebody and think this guy's never going to be beaten, of course, I don't believe Anthony Joshua didn't think he could would lose that fight, because he's not that kind of guy. I think Saturday night he goes there and thinks, I can do this no matter what. I'm going to knock this guy out. You know, he's talking about knocking him out, not boxing him, knocking him out. And I do believe that. I don't think he'll ever try and outbox him Saturday.
I'm going to use a curse word here this week, Tyson Fury. I mean, we're not really, you know, you start talking about that and everybody says, we're not talking about Fury. Tyson Fury's vacated the Ring Magazine belt, and he's got until August 26th to decide as to whether or not he's going to stay retired and have to relinquish the WBC belt. Why this week? Why now? And why leave the Ring Magazine belt in your mind?
Do you know, if he hadn't vacated the Ring Magazine belt, I would have said he's just doing it to try and steal some column inches and get some attention away from the fight. But the fact that he has vacated the Ring Magazine makes me think, maybe. But then why didn't he just vacate the WBC as well?
Why wait till now? Yeah.
You know, I don't know. There's something going on there, isn't there?
It doesn't add up. Is that because we don't see all the equation? You know, is this a master plan, or are they doing something different?
Listen. Tyson Fury has the arrogance enough to believe, and I believe this, so I'm not disagreeing with him, that he's bigger than the belts. And so if he wants to play a little game like try and steal the headlines by dropping the Ring Magazine belt, it's worked. Now you know if the Ring Magazine belt's being contested for tonight in point A, but in point B, Tyson Fury is fighting somebody, how many people are going to go to watch the guys fighting for the Ring Magazine belt or watch Tyson Fury? He's one of the few fighters that are bigger than the belts themselves, and he knows that. He's put it in perspective. He's in history books. I'm sure he's got a replica of the belt at home. It means more to us, him holding the belts, than it does to him.
The only reason the only thing that jars me is how much in your lifetime would you love to see the undisputed heavyweight title contested? And I know that you could say, well, if he keeps WBC, yes, of course. If it's that small word that has a big meaning. If he does, then fine. But it would be a shame every time we get one big step closer if they fragment again. Do you think? Okay, let me put it simpler. Do you think we will get an undisputed heavyweight champion this year or next?
Yeah, I do. But whether that's Fury or not, I think we'll get one, because whoever wins this, whatever. If he vacates WBC, whether they just give it to the champion, or they give it to someone else who then fights the champion for Undisputed. I think we'll see Undisputed.
Then someone could get beat though, and you run that risk.
I think it'll take a few years to get them all back together again. And these are the governing body's faults. You know, if they've got a chance of making a mandatory defence or unifying the belts, you know, they've got to get their commissions in. They've got to go the right way. The governing bodies don't do themselves any favours. Number one. So I do think that once they're fragmented, I just think that's where the problems start. But in reality, we know who that guy is. That guy is Tyson Fury. In reality, no matter what, if he gives up the belts or what, and so they're better off giving it them rather than looking stupid.
Well, we've got a little bit of time because it seems that nothing is happening particularly quickly here. Just an opportunity to speak to you both about September 10th. So I've just come back from Miami, filming Behind the Ropes with Clarissa Shields. She fights Savannah Marshall. That's a massive fight, September 10th. Oh, she was cool. Yeah, she was really cool. Yeah, nothing like...
Any bad words for Savannah?
Oh, yeah, plenty. Yeah, if you never met her, yeah, plenty of bad words. But
how did she find that press conference? Because she was a bit...
Well, she had more to say about the gloves are off. She felt that she won the press conference, and she felt like that she won the gloves are off hands down because of the last part where she said Savannah Marshall is already thinking about losing. It's very similar to the clip that we put out. She's already thinking about losing because in her mind, I don't want to make...
She didn't think it was biased, did she?
Well, she hasn't seen the edit. No. I think you're in the clear for the moment. Yeah, I think you're. I'm more worried about Behind the Ropes. How we've got to cut it, you know. But it is one of those that she is a great of her time, and people don't like the quote. You know, the self-proclaimed quote, but it's difficult to argue past someone that won their first gold medal at 17, then had enough about them to repeat it in the next Olympic cycle. A two-time Olympic gold medalist. She's been undisputed twice already. Where are you finding the issues here? You know, she is a great...
Well, there's Casey Taylor, isn't it? You know,
who met
between the two, isn't it?
And Clarissa Shields said the pound-for-pound number one is Katie Taylor. That if you're talking about legends of the game, Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, because they did something amazing.
And not just that, but the Pursoon fight, Madison Square Garden, and just all the opponents that she's beaten. There's more strength and depth in Katie Taylor's in the lighter weights. There's fewer big name, in Savannah and Clarissa, they're bigger girls, aren't they? There's less strength in depth as you go up the weights. Where you look down at Katie Taylor's weight, you know, you could reel them off, couldn't you? Serrano, Pursoon, Natasha Jonas. You know, she's beating everyone.
That is an intriguing fight, though, because we were talking about cliches earlier. The boxer puncher
is the only person to have beaten her. That is the one for me. That's the ingredient.
And look at the fight. Look at how Savannah beat her. And I think, you know what's changed. Look at that fight. You can find it on YouTube, whatever. Look at, and I think it's exactly the same thing happens again when Savannah gets in with her again, and that's why Savannah said, "I just don't see how you beat me." I think
we are. There is a commotion in the corner, so I'm going to get the cameraman to turn around and show you a wall. But behind that wall, we think is Oleksandr Usyk just doing some meeting and greeting. Yes, I can see the very distinctive figure of the heavyweight champion of the world, Oleksandr Usyk, is slowly making his way into the room. You can tell from the phones and the flash bulbs that are going off that the champ is here. And just as he makes his way into the room for the journos, so we hope that door is not going to be shut for too long. And we're just going to show you again if you are just joining us. So behind that door is Oleksandr Usyk with all of the world's photographers, who's going to answer a couple of questions and just have his photos taken with all the belts. And just down this line here is all of the world's media that have descended here into Jeddah for this weekend's fight. Seen crews from all over the world. The world heavyweight title still commands that. It is exactly that. It is the champion of the world, and people have come from all four corners to be here on Saturday at the King Abdullah Sports Arena here in Jeddah. We're right on the coastline of the Red Sea.
Was it the prince we saw walking, the king we saw walk into the presser with AJ, brought his little son?
Yes, that was the prince, yeah.
Wow, he just walked in like, don't know where his bodyguards were, but they must be good.
Yeah. I received an apology from the prince earlier because he walked in on our interview with Usyk. So here comes Oleksandr Usyk.
Is it a haircut?
I think he's just got it tied up. He's just going to join our colleagues at Sky Sports News. We spoke about sparring partners for AJ, and of course poked the bear a little bit there. He didn't like it too much, which I was really respectful from him. Doesn't want to start dishing out sparring partners live on TV. But we do know that Oleksandr Usyk, he posted a picture with the majority of his sparring partners. Martin Bakole is probably the most well known to us in the UK. Billy Nelson has said for a very long time that Martin is a real handful. He's a quality fighter himself, just an outsider looking in on the world picture at the moment. How do you prepare for Anthony Joshua? Are you looking for a big, solid, athletic guy who can punch? We talk about the difficulty of getting someone to replicate Usyk. I'm not saying it's as difficult, but it isn't easy to find someone as athletic at that size as AJ.
No, but it'll be a lot easier for Usyk to find sparring partners for AJ, who's pretty textbook as a fight, technique, and he's well schooled. He's he's technically well schooled, as opposed to Joshua finding sparring partners for Usyk, who's slick, awkward southpaw. It'll be easier. Be easy to find guys that are more like Joshua than what Usyk.
No one's going to forgive you. No one's going to blame you. Don't worry. We have been talking for a long time.
But it's the truth. He's spot on there. And that's why nobody likes southpaws, because they're so awkward to fight, and there's not many around, so there's not many to practice with to get through.
Hard to get.
Yeah, but most fighters are taught that orthodox style of fight, like Anthony Joshua, and so therefore to prepare for somebody like Anthony Joshua, it's a lot easier to prepare for somebody like Oleksandr Usyk, because they're ten a penny. And that's no disrespect to Anthony. What I'm saying is that AJ can bang. He's got a little bit of special around Usyk. His style is unorthodox, not awkward, unorthodox. Because it's unorthodox and successful at what he does, that makes him a dangerous fighter. Anthony Joshua, because his style is orthodox, that means you can find many replicas just like him.
It's a lazy comparison, but we make it all the time. They're very different people with incredibly different styles, but Lomachenko had such an extensive amateur record. I always thought when he turned pro, there's nobody that he hasn't seen or faced. If he'd had, so many hundreds of amateur fights that he avenged, beat everyone that he ever faced. Usyk's been around the world once, seen everything twice. He's been in with punchers, movers, boxers, box punchers. Is there anything that Usyk hasn't seen that he hasn't faced before?
And like Lomachenko was, he didn't look beatable, but he's been beaten. You look at Usyk, he doesn't look beatable. He can be beaten. Will AJ be able to find that formula that's needed? We don't know. He's been in with big guys like Usyk's been in with big guys like Joy Joyce. He's been in with shorter guys. He's been in with faster guys. He's been in with spoilers. He's been in with people like Derek Chisora.
When he even boxed Beterbiev.
Yeah, exactly.
He boxed Sean Porter in the amateurs.
That's what I'm saying. So this guy has been in with them all. And so therefore he's vast in experience in all shapes and sizes. So of course, by head and shoulders, he's definitely got more experience than Anthony Joshua. So that's why this win, if Anthony Joshua pulls off the win, is going to be that fight. That's the fight that no matter what he does after this, being boxing, Tyson Fury or Wilder, this is that fight for Anthony Joshua, because this guy has got a depth of experience.
Just going to stand you two gentlemen back in vision just to close the show here. So I think we're going to make a sensible decision here. It took Anthony Joshua nearly an hour to go all the way around there. if we haven't said it, we're probably not going to say it. I mean,
And I won't be able to get my words out even if I could.
it's going to take some time. You can tune in to our colleagues live on Sky Sports News now, and you will see that interview go out very, very shortly if it's not live now. Oleksandr Usyk, Anthony Joshua, the start of the media events here. That was the grand arrivals. Thank you so much for joining with us. Thank you so much for staying with us, I should say. More tomorrow, so make sure wherever you joined us today, come back tomorrow and you'll find us right here.